Aloha kako. Welcome back to another Mo'olelo Monday. Uh, Currently located in Keauhou on the Hawaii Island. Mokuokeawe. We got Hualalai in the background over here, staying at Mauna Loa. Um, Enjoying the long-deserved vacation. So I am currently recording this video at June 5th, and 2 nights ago I had my what does she call it? She called it like the international unveiling of my stories uh, at Kona Stories Book Store in the shopping center over here, and it was a pretty amazing experience. Our first real talk story at actual bookstore. The other place that we sell our books at, it's when we do signings and stuff. There was isn't really any time to or space set up to kind of give information about myself or the stories. So what we end up doing is setting up a table outside the store and sign books that are being sold that day. And the moments that we have with our supporters that come and stop by for the signings, we have opportunities to talk story and share about our lives, as well as the books and what's inside the content that's inside the stories. So we have some of those moments like that. But um, as far as the talk story, it usually isn't all that grandiose. But this was our first talk story um, in this small bookstore, and the shop owner sets it all up so there's chairs and whatnot to accommodate people that want to stop in and hear what new authors or authors of new books have to say about their stories. And so it was a pretty fun experience, amazing experience. Got to meet some new people, some very nice people out this way. Didn't know what to expect. So fortunately, I was given the third spot to communicate about the books, and it kind of gave me an idea of how to share with the crowd there, since I had the previous two authors giving their spiel. I was a little bit more relaxed after seeing the kind of information they provided for the talk story, and it was really nice because it was kind of more of a sharing of the author themselves, yeah. And I've realized that a lot of times people, when they purchase through you or purchase something from you, they're usually buying because of who you are. A lot of times they have a connection or an understanding or even clarity when it comes to what you're selling and why you're selling it. And sometimes that moves people. I can always say that I'm an author and I sell books, but once you start talking about your life story and what kinds of things you included in your stories, it makes it easier for people to decide whether or not they are going to support or not. And a lot of times, fortunately, what I have to share is of some appeal, and people end up purchasing one or two or even all three books, which to me is always so. I'm always so incredibly honored for those kinds of things. People sharing like that for me anyway. Because it's not a typical thing. This is something new for me anyway. But yeah, I thought during this Mo'olelo Monday, I can actually share with you what it is that we discussed, and or at least what I said during the talk story. Hopefully that kind of gives you folks a better picture as to what it is that I'm putting my passions and my drive through in this new era. I know it's I have several videos on top of my YouTube channel that's been discussing recently my jump into selling my fictional paranormal Hawaii stories, but maybe some of you guys don't really understand what it is exactly that I'm doing, and hopefully the talk story that I had at Kona Book Stories could provide you more insight and make you a little bit more interested, perhaps, in supporting me as well. And that I think would be fabulous. But yeah, my books are sold locally on the Big Island here at Kona Book Stories, as well as on Oahu at Aumākua, which is super cool. I would like to one day have my books at libraries, so other people who can afford to buy them can borrow them and enjoy them. So I mean, well, that's the hopes, that's the dreams, right? So it could be something that would be more readily available for others to, to read about. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just end my talking here and start the video clip of family went ohana at the pool right now, which is cool. I mean, they're having a blast out there. But yeah, so we're all gonna be cruising for the next couple of weeks, enjoying our vacation time, and I'll probably have another recording during this week to put up for the next Mo'olelo Monday. But yeah, so this recording is actually being done on June 5th. Last night, I believe, Madam Pele, Tutu Pele, was going crazy up at Kilauea. So I know a lot of people go out there. My sister-in-law was saying that when they tried to go out there and see the volcano and it erupting like that, it took them hours to get into the state park, and so it's not really something I wanna go through just to see the eruption happening face to face. I can enjoy it on TV, on the news, or on the cell phone, right? So that's okay for me. I'm okay with staying home and watching that kind of stuff. She's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. But yeah, so I thought I'd just use today's Mo'olelo Monday to share what we Kona Stories Book Store Words and Wine Talk event. So you guys can listen to that the next Mo'olelo Monday. I hope you guys come around, because I will have stories, since I am on the island where Tutu Pele is currently residing. Perhaps I'll share my personal stories that I have of Madam Pele with you folks. Maybe even some stories that I've heard when I was younger. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this Words and Wine event. And we will see you next time on Mo'olelo Monday. Ahui ho.
Yes, yay, you can clap in advance. Their nom de plume is Del Aragon, but they are actually Kira and Gabrielle Aragon. They craft both fiction and non-fiction works that reflect their native Hawaiian heritage. They weave together stories rooted in cultural value, family tradition, and a shared passion for storytelling. So they've actually got a trilogy, and they're going to particularly focus. The third one is out tonight, can I say tonight?
Sure.
Call this the international debut. All right. Anyway, this is the third installment of the Aumākua Anthology. Here are Del and Kira Aragon. Are you not coming up too?
I'll come up later.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't want to
Yeah,
steal the
let me raise it
spotlight.
up a little. Yeah. Go up just a little bit.
Aloha kako. Hello everyone. My name is Gabriel Del Aragon, and I am the author of the Aumākua Anthology. Thank you. illustrate that.
It's good to have fans.
Yes. The beautiful woman back there that's filming right now is my wife, Kiara, and she is my editor. She is also a writer. We have still yet to work on her
Yes.
book. It's up and coming.
My illustrator needs to get to work.
Yeah, her
That's the
illustrator is very
illustrator.
lazy.
That would be you.
Yeah, that would be me. So, how much more time do I have?
You get I'm not gonna yell that fast.
No, I'm just joking. But yes, my wife has been a huge inspiration for me. I grew up in Waimanalo on Oahu, and I went to public school, Kailua, all the way from elementary up to high school. I did some college before we had our first child, and then that's when I had to pick up a second job. And unfortunately, life continued, and I never went back. And let's see. I personally, as I grew up in school, never found anything that I enjoyed reading. I was not a reader. I never ever found myself actually capable of coming up with something such as a book, let alone 3. And this is an ongoing saga. I plan to at least have 11 more books coming out in this anthology. But yeah, the whole step of the way, my wife has been there. And she's actually the one that got me into writing. And sorry. I started writing 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
From this day. My wife bought me my first laptop, and I started writing from that point on my birthday.
Wow.
So today's actually my birthday. There's no such thing as coincidence. This is actually something that was meant to happen. This is all in line with what God has planned. And once she had got me that computer, she encouraged me to write my stories down because I had so many personal experiences when it came to supernatural. Growing up, ever since I was born, I'd had weird things that would happen in my life that were unexplainable. I'm not going to go too in depth in that stuff, but I have taken all those stories that have happened to me, as well as I experienced, as well as hearing from other people, and I placed them into the pages of my stories. So even though it's a fictional story, these are all facts. All the experiences that are inside this story have actually occurred. I use my own personal life to fill these pages. The actual place that it takes place is on Ainapau, which is actually a fictional island south of this island. So the reason why I did that was so I could have a playground to do whatever I wanted there, but also use the islands that surround us to add more realism to the story. So that was the purpose of creating Ainapau. Each one of these stories in the anthology are all their own standalone stories that have an overarching connection that will pay off at the end. But they introduce characters and Aumākua. And that's the reason why I chose Aumākua Anthology. Now, for those of you that don't know what an Aumākua is, it's basically a family guardian. So, my family has a family guardian called Lalakea, and he is a shark. And he was born from past generations of ancient Hawaiians. And he was nurtured and cared for on the island of Maui. And when he was old enough, he was set free into the ocean where he proliferated his own family. I know it sounds kind of silly, and even when I tell my students, because I work at Enchanted Lake Elementary School as an art teacher, even as I tell my students these stories, they kind of look at me like, well, it's kind of weird. You know, you have your family with a shark, or your family with a bird, or your family with a lizard. But those are the kinds of things that would happen here in Hawaii. There's so much mana, so much energy that was here before people actually arrived, us as typical human beings. That commingling of the first people that landed here in the islands created the lineage of the ali'i, or the chiefs, and they became servants of the people. And so those are the kinds of things that I added to my book as well, the culture. I think I think the culture in Hawaii doesn't really shine. And one of the reasons why I didn't really read when I was younger was because I couldn't connect with anything inside the libraries. I didn't have anything of me in the pages on these walls. So I wanted something of myself to read, and I couldn't find anything. And that's another reason why my wife says, honey, write these books for the students. Write these books for the people who grow up in Hawaii, who visit Hawaii, because then they'll take something back with them that's deeper. They'll have a deeper sense of what Hawaii is. So that's the reason why I decided to write these books. So like I was saying, each one is a standalone story, but I also made it a point to make them a different kind of story. So Pokane and Hemolelebe, which is my first book in the series, is a romance. It is a hefty read. My mother-in-law, who never really thought highly of me, really actually changed her attitude once these books started pouring out. And she says, you know, you should have really separated this book into 3 separate stories. And I thought about it, and I says, you know, it would really ruin the flow if I did that. I said offering this book as one complete story was better than stretching it out and making it muddy. So I thought this made a lot more sense. And even though it's a bigger read, she went through it, and she said she loved it. Yeah. So that's the best review I could really get, is from a person who, and you know what, maybe she was upset with me because she expected more out of me, and actually seeing something like this come out of me was just surprising, and maybe that's what kind of did it for her. So yeah, so romantic love story. This one here is a suspense action story about the Mo'owahine. This book was inspired from a hail that's across the street from my high school, Kailua High School. They have Ulupo Hail right behind, what is it? The YMCA in Kailua. And I didn't know this at the time, but in the marsh behind that hail, which is called Kawainui, they actually have a mo'o who lives in that marsh that watches over all the interred bodies from the fishing village that used to be there from a long, long time ago. So to honor her, I decided to write this book about the Mo'owahine.
Which is a lizard.
Just to provide.
Which is a lizard lady.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, which is a lizard lady. I'm sorry. Mo'o means lizard. Wahine just means woman. And so I decided to honor that. Her name was Luahine. Luahine actually lives in that Kawainui marsh. My particular Mo'owahine is Pawai, and she lives on Ainapau, and she protects the area of, well, I don't want to get too much into it because it's going to spoil some of the stuff in the future. But basically, each one of these stories has a different Aumākua, leading from the Mo'owahine, as well as Pokane, which is actually how Aumākua in Hawaii culture are created. So I don't want to get too much into the creation of Aumākua because we have children present. But basically, you can kind of think of it as visitations at night when you're dreaming. You see a pretty lady or a handsome guy, and there's, you know, a relation, and those kinds of things are what spur on the birth of an Aumākua. So we have the Mo'owahine, and we have another type of Aumākua, or protectors or defenders, called night marchers. And so this third book that I wrote is about the Huaka'ipo, which means night marchers, and they are from Pi'i Level Point. And they have a very interesting story. Whether or not they are malevolent or benevolent, we're not sure. But there's a more of a horror thriller type story inside of this one. They also all take place in different times. So my Pokane starts off in 1946, and it culminates or ends in 1980. So it covers a lifetime. This one, the second book, actually takes place in the 1990s, and the third book is in the 1980s. So they all jump over but they, like I said, interweave with each other. And I have many more to come, but as it stands right now, for the past 2 years that I've been writing, which is something I never thought I'd do, I created 3 novels through that, yeah. So thank you. Did anybody have any questions or?
What's your next novel, the first novel?
Oh.
So you said you've got an arc in mind. You already have in your head what all 11 books are going to be?
Well, I stretched it out to 11 because I want to try and catch as many Aumākua as I possibly can to include them inside my stories. You know, there's just so many and so many different types. It's not just, you know, like the sharks and the lizards and the turtles and stuff like that. You know, there are just so much that I want to cover in my stories, and 11 is probably a pretty healthy.
You have them pictured in your head?
Yeah,
All
I
right,
do.
that's great.
I do. Yes.
You said that, you know, each book is a standalone story, but eventually they'll all like connect to one another. Does that mean that you can technically like read them in any order? Like if you wanted to read them chronologically, like would it still flow, or is it best to still read them in order as they come out?
Yeah, so I do have them numbered from 1 through whatever they're going to finish at. But you can actually take one book and read it. If you're happy with it, be done with it. Because some people like I was saying, I work at a school, and I'm going to say right now that the boys at my school do not want to read this. Even though they read a lot and they read really well, this is something that doesn't interest them because they know it's a romance. So I kind of wanted to create my stories so that I get a lot of people interested in what I had to share. You know, because like I said, this started because I didn't have anything to read. And what would I be doing if I just stuck with horror or just, you know, one thing?
Right.
No one would ever read it. So I tried to branch out that way. Yeah.
Who's to be illustrator of those beautiful covers?
Oh. Well, see, here's the thing. One of the reasons why I didn't actually get myself my own personal computer until I was in my 40s was because we don't have a lot of money. And so the great thing about writing is it comes from your mind. And luckily, fortunately, I was born from an artist, and I was actually gifted with his talents, and I actually created my own covers for my stories. So you guys can check these out later, but yeah, I actually created the artwork, wrote the story, my editor went through it, and just like Jack, when's the next chapter gonna finish? Because I'm having her read them one at a time, and she's like left at these cliffhangers, and she's insisting, it's like, you gotta finish this stuff already, man. Yes, sir.
Do you prefer writing with a pen and pencil or something like that, or back to the keyboard?
I prefer to keep my pen and pencil with sketching and drawing. That's my therapy through that.
And writing on the keyboard.
Writing on a keyboard, yeah.
Was there any research that went into the stories, or are these just from your imagination?
Oh, this is personal experience.
Okay.
Yeah, personal experience. And for Hawaii culture, we are a very oral culture. Everything is passed down through words. So a lot of this stuff came from the mouths of my kupuna, my grandparents, as well as my aunts, my uncles. Growing up, we'd sit around fires, we'd sit in the living room, and they just share stories after stories. But like I said, I have my own personal experiences as well. I don't know if this matters or anything, but in 2008, I started working with a paranormal investigative group, and we hit a lot of haunted places. And not only did I work as an investigator, but I also worked as a security guard as one of my full-time jobs. And so, first person there, last person to leave. You always see kind of weird things in the buildings and on the walkways. So, yeah. But I'm not saying that I don't do research. I also do look things up and find out what's appropriate and what's not. Yeah.
Dell, as a bookseller, who will I sell these books to? What age?
I like to hit the 11 and up age.
But
Which
we
is
did
why I
have
don't
fifth
have
graders
any-
reading the Mo'owahine.
Huh?
Was it a fifth grader that read the Mo'owahine? at school? Was he in fifth
Third
grade?
grader.
Third grade. The one that would never read anything, and the librarian was shocked to find him sitting there
yeah, that
reading
was a
it.
5th grader. So yeah, the librarian at my school was also very, very happy. My book was sitting on top of a desk, and this kid walked in who never reads a book, always throws a fit every time there's library time, never has anything nice to do, saw the book, picked it up and started reading it. He was quiet the whole class. And she was just shocked because normally this kid is acting out all the time, just behavior after behavior. And he found something that he could connect to, and he really resonated with him. So that was his first book that he actually settled down to read. But getting back to your question, I try to keep it very clean. Like the language, I think damn, maybe ass, you know, maybe. That's like the worst you'll see. I don't have any, you know, of that,
No steamy sex.
no steamy things inside my book. So if you're looking for that kind of read, I don't have that in my romance. Everything is clean. But I would like to say 11 and up, but I'm sure most people would say 13 and up.
Hi,
Yeah.
honey.
Any other questions? How much time? Good? Yeah? Okay, do I have a chance to?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, that's what I think. All right.
Come on, Jack. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
So thank you guys so much for allowing me to burn your ears for the past 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right. Have a great night.